Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike from 1AAuto. I hope this how-to video helps you out. And next time you need parts for your vehicle, think of 1AAuto.com. Thanks.
In this video, we're going to show you how to replace a transfer case shift motor, and we're going to show you kind of what it sounds like when one goes bad and it can't get its job done, and then we'll show you the whole replacement. The tools you'll need for the job: you'll need a new transfer case shift motor from 1AAuto, jack and jack stands. I put a star next to that because generally these trucks are high enough off the ground that you can do this without having to jack it up. Just make sure you set your parking brake and block the tires. You'll also need an 11mm wrench, a large screwdriver or a small pry bar, a 15mm socket with a ratchet and extension, and either a shop light or a flashlight to give yourself some visual aid. Got my key on. I'll let my chimes go off so you can hear, and I'm just going to let my truck roll. Okay, and I'm going to press and I'm going to listen for the axle or for the shift case motor with the door open. Okay, so you can hear the shift motor trying to work. Actually, try and get you a better listen. Okay, and generally when you can hear it trying to do that, but it can't get the truck into four-wheel drive, that's basically the best sign that the transfer case shift motor is worn out, it's gotten too old, and it can't get its job done. Okay, if you come up from under the driver's side door, you can see here's your transfer case. Go in front of this cross member, and right here is your transfer case shift motor, right next to the front drive shaft. So we're going to have to remove the front drive shaft, which is pretty easy. You want to remove 4 bolts right here. Okay, so I've got an 11mm wrench. I'm going to stick another wrench on here for some extra leverage. Take a screwdriver and put it up through there to hold the shaft in place. Loosen up each bolt and then take them off. I'm just going to speed it up here. You can see I just, like I said, with each bolt, use that wrench, hook it on there for some extra leverage, then spin the drive shaft, put your screwdriver back up in, and loosen up the bolts. And then once you get them loose a few turns, they usually generally come out just by hand. Okay, now take your big screwdriver. Put it up in there and break the drive shaft free. Push the drive shaft back, turn that a little bit. Okay. There's a little clip here, and carefully remove. Okay, this, make sure all the needle bearings come. And I apologize there, didn't realize how bad the camera angle was when I was shooting it, but what I did was I pulled one of the U-joint caps off. That just gives you a little extra room to be able to slide the drive shaft forward. You just want to be careful not to get the part of the drive shaft where the cap goes on. You don't want to get that dirty, and you don't want to get any dirt inside the cap while you're doing the other steps. Okay, and this rubber flange here is going to give you some resistance as you try and bring the shaft forward. So you can peel that off like that. There's 4 15mm bolts holding this skid plate on, and remove them. Okay, move the front of the drive shaft and the yoke on the front axle around until you can get the drive shaft forward, and you can get the back of the drive shaft out of the transfer case.
Okay. Bring the drive shaft down and get it out of the way. Okay, you can see our transfer case motor right here. There's a connection here. Pull back on a tab that's kind of on top. Disconnect that. Okay, there's another connector right back here, and it's actually in a bracket, so I'm going to use a pair of pliers to squeeze the pin on the other side and pull it out of that bracket and disconnect it. You just disconnect it by probably using a flat blade screwdriver. Maybe I can do it with my fingers.
I'm going to speed up at this point. There are 3 bolts that hold the transfer case shift motor in place. As you can see, I just show you starting out with a wrench, a socket, and an extension. The bolts usually come out fairly easily. After a little while, I lose my patience though and just grab the air activated impact wrench and zip them out quickly.
You can see my motor has some age to it. That's all actually aluminum corrosion. So this is probably the original motor, and it's even starting to break in places. New motor from 1A Auto. It's got the correct lead on it as well as the plug. We're going to reuse our gasket. These gaskets are meant to be reusable. Let's put it on there. Okay. Our motor up through here. Make sure your harness doesn't get in the way. Get it in place. I'm kind of peeking. I can see the back side through the motor. Okay, you kind of have to feed it in diagonally a little bit and get it on there. Start putting the bolts in. Make sure the bolts go in by hand so they're not cross-threaded. Okay, first I'm just going to make sure they're in correctly. Make sure they're going pretty easy.
And once I'm satisfied that they're pretty much in there correctly, I get my impact wrench back out just for speed and kind of tighten them preliminarily. I never tighten anything up with the impact wrench. I go back to the hand tool and do the final tightening. And with these bolts, you want them about 35 to 40 foot-pounds.
I'll take my harness up here. Plug it in and put it back on its clip, and then my harness here plugged in. Okay, take my drive shaft, guide it into the transfer case. Back in. Okay, press this rubber guide on so it's back in place. Okay, up here, just make sure there's no dirt. I got a little bit of dirt on there. Okay, I don't want to wipe too much of the grease or anything off. Make sure there's no dirt on there. Make sure all the needle bearings are in place. Put that back on. We need to pull that right out. Push your drive shaft back. Okay. And put this in place. Once it starts in place, we'll start on one of these collars.
Okay, start the collar on. I don't tighten it up much right now. I want to flip it over to the other side, start the other collar on, and make sure that the U-joint goes evenly into the axle, and then tighten it up slowly. Again, make sure you're tightening it up evenly, and then these bolts should be tightened to right around 20 foot-pounds, which I just usually use a small wrench and pull it as tight as I can using the screwdriver to hold the drive shaft in place. Reinstall your skid plate and you should be all set. Okay, same test, key on, let the truck start rolling. Okay, hit four-wheel drive, you can hear it. Go right in and out of four-wheel drive. It's working well. We hope this helps you out. Brought to you by www.1aauto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. Please feel free to call us toll-free 888-844-3393. We're the company that's here for you on the internet and in person.